Why are you such a huge fan of UConn? Did you go to the university?
Why, yes. Yes, I did.
I bet with your energy you could have been Jonathan.
Oh, So funny story. Hello everyone. Now that March Madness is over, it's time to answer your questions from the last video. Before I start, I do want to mention one funny thing I did. This is Campfire Harvest, another furry YouTuber that does Q&A videos from time to time. And I had the bright idea to give him all the questions from my last Q&A video because I thought it'd be funny to just watch him answer a bunch of physics and dance questions that don't involve him at all. And he delivered. Definitely go watch his video. It's hilarious, it's great. Tell him I said hi. Anyway, let's get this thing started.
Hello, dog.
Hi.
How are those leggies?
Oh, the leggies be legging. Yeah.
You like pancakes or waffles?
Oh, easily waffles. If I go to a con with a Waffle House nearby, you can bet your butt that I'm gonna be going there at 3 AM just to get waffles.
Where have you traveled in the USA?
Let's make this fun. Here's a map of all the states I wore my fursuit in. Of course, the Northeast Corridor and the Great Lakes states are all covered because that's where I live. For all the other states, you can probably guess why I was wearing my fursuit there.
I'm a Brit who's only been to the USA once. What's the most overrated city you've been to?
Okay, so me being from the New York area, don't go to New York City to do all the tourist stuff. You go to New York and do all the tourist stuff, it will seem overrated. The best way to visit New York is to have a local friend just take you around the city themselves. It'll be so much better than the tourist trap stuff.
What's the most underrated US city you've visited?
As far as underrated, there's a lot of small cities that are really cool. Burlington, Vermont, Portland, Maine, Flagstaff, Arizona, Madison, Wisconsin, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and many others. I say that they're underrated because my guess is that there's a lot of people out there that probably never heard of these places at all.
What's your least favorite place in the whole world?
Fuck Iowa!
What country will you like to travel to first?
Definitely Italy, because that's where my family's from, and I still need to do a heritage trip at some point.
What is your favorite legendary Pokemon?
Lugia. Definitely Lugia. Yeah, I know, I'm being such a millennial here.
Is Igon your only Sona? If not, who's the others?
I do have other OCs, but Igon is the only one I'll represent myself as.
Why did you choose a Husky for your Fursona?
What did I say in the last video? I don't know, I just kind of have dog energy and I like snow. Right, let me add to this. When I joined the fandom, my family was living up in Vermont, and I was involved with a lot of winter activities. I distinctly remember waiting until after football season to make my character, which football season ends in the winter, and that heavily influenced my decision with choosing a species. But thinking about it, it could have been totally different. Growing up, I remember loving the aesthetic of the deserts of the Southwest US. Arizona is a beautiful state in my opinion. I can totally imagine an alternate universe where I chose desert coyote as my species had my family moved out there instead.
What was your best and worst reactions from other non-furs of you being a furry?
Best reaction? When I saw my alumni friends at Kineticon 2023. Like, they all knew I'm involved with the fandom, but they never saw me in fursuit before. And it was just a coincidence that we were all just there. Like, we didn't plan that at all. Worst reaction? I can't really think of anything worth mentioning. So instead, second best reaction, when my sibling and their fiance attended Anthrohio 2023 with me. I let my sibling's fiance wear one of my fursuits, and after like 5 minutes of walking around, he just turns to me and just goes, "I understand this now."
What's your favorite thing about being in the furry fandom?
Having a friend group that's not location specific, which isn't really that common if you think about it. Like, the idea of taking a trip basically anywhere just to visit friends in the fandom is an amazing thing to do.
What company made your awesome fursuit?
Hold on, I gotcha. My fursuit was made by Mini Boss Mascot in 2019, and my 3D model has been made by Cloud Husky in 2024.
Paws or Moors?
Porque no los dos. But speaking about Moz, use code HungryHusky for 10% off on Sloshdog merch. Buy the shit, buy the shit, buy the shit.
Are you going to Anthrocon this year?
I'm planning on it, cause I'm supposed to judge the dance comp after all.
How did you get into doing dance in the furry fandom / where did you start?
Like I said in the last video, I was a dancer long before I was in the fandom, So when I started going to cons, I just joined the dance cyphers that were happening in con space.
What style of music do you like and how does it make you feel?
Specifically for dancing at DJ sets, I like hip-hop, drum and bass, and electro swing. It's very ethereal for me to just get into that headspace to just dance to those genres for hours. Dancing like that is like the closest thing I have to a spiritual experience. And lately, I've been preferring that experience to be in VR. Mostly because I can change my settings in a way where no one will interrupt that experience. Unlike how things are in meat space. Not to go off on a tangent where I just complain about things. I'm just saying that if I go to a dance at a con, I'm going there to dance, not to socialize. Yet, people always want to socialize, and it always seems to be right as I want to jump into the cypher. It sucks because it's interrupting a feeling that only dancers would really know.
What's your most unconventional dance comp song pick?
Probably the Static Shock theme.
Will you ever join another dance crew?
Outside the fandom, yeah. Inside the fandom, too early to say.
What's it like backstage before and after you do your dance?
I'm gonna assume that you're talking about Fursuit dance comps. Before my performance, I'm just focused on getting into the headspace for performing. I'm not really talking to anyone backstage, just running through the routine in my head, usually listening to the song on repeat, sometimes doing the motions of the routine with the song. After I perform, I'm usually just critiquing myself after that performance, how I felt, what could be improved. Again, not really a social experience for me. I've been performing on a professional level for a while now. Even though Fursuit dance comps are for fun, it's hard to escape from the habits I've developed for my job. And in a way, that's kind of why I don't find as much enjoyment of doing dance comps like I do with dance battles. And that's a can of worms to talk about later.
Are there any particular design features needed in a fursuit for it to be feasible to dance in, particularly at dance comp levels?
Not really. Other than the fact that the suit needs to be a good build quality. The suit needs to be durable enough to perform in, and that's really it. After that, it's all about making adjustments to your own movements for that suit. Do keep in mind, I am speaking from a place where I've been performing in costumes for so long, and I can basically put on any suit and perform in it as if it's already a second skin for me.
How does dancing in fursuit feel different from without?
Dancing in suit really doesn't feel that much different from dancing out of suit, but that's just because I've been just wearing my suit for so long and I'm just so used to it. But that's just something that happens when you clock so many hours wearing a variety of different costumes.
How do your paws/fursuit head don't fly off when dancing?
Belt.
I'm curious if you have any recommendations for online resources for learning/practicing dancing.
My Fursuit 101 dance series.
What breathing techniques do you use while dancing in fursuit?
So I don't consciously think about my breathing when I dance, and I'm pretty sure it's because I've just been playing saxophone since elementary school, which is all about breathing in time with the music. Who knew that music and arts education is very important at a young age?
Would you recommend someone volunteer to help at a furry convention, even if they've never attended one before?
If it's your first time at a con, no, don't volunteer. Please enjoy yourself at the con. Get the full experience first. If you've been to a few cons and want to contribute to the community, yes, consider volunteering. You should only volunteer for things that you care about and things that you find meaning in.
How do I join staff at a furry convention? Like more so, how do I know what department I'd be best suited for and what would be the time commitment be prior to and during the con?
Networking, just like with real life. Meet people, learn what roles that feel best for your skill set, and apply. Some cons even have web pages to show what staff roles are open, but nothing beats talking to people that are on staff. I started as FurPoc staff because I was just chatting about dance event stuff with people at the FurPoc table at ConnectiCon 2022, and that led into me talking more with Hawk, Wally, Nico, Silver, and just one thing led to another. For me, it was a perfect fit because I got to do what I wanted to do with the skill set I already had. Traditionally, people are involved with staffing after volunteering at a con for a number of years. But nothing about me is traditional. I just went right into staffing because I have many years of industry experience.
As a con volunteer, have you ever run into issues of overworking yourself? What departments have you been involved in at conventions?
Okay, couple things I need to say before I can answer this. 1, I never volunteered at a con. I only staffed at them, and I can only speak on behalf of being staff. 2, outside the fandom, I work in multiple industries at the same time. Not because I need to, but because I want to. 3, I am the personality type where if someone doesn't respect my time and energy, I will just leave. Like in my first year of grad school, my advisor at the time tried to get me to teach his Quantum 1 class for a majority of the semester. And I was a registered student in that class. I was there to learn, not to teach, especially not teach unpaid. So what do? I just dropped the class and found a new advisor. I'm very much like my grandma. I don't deal with bullcrap like that. So, I staff as programming at cons because I want to bring my professional experience to hosting events. It's a pet project where I get the freedom to develop things as I wish, which isn't something that you get in the industry. I have the skills to prevent overworking myself, whether that's time management, delegating tasks, or changing plans in an efficient way. That's something that just comes with many years of experience. But also, I'll always recognize the fact that con staffing is not a high priority item. So there's no reason to get into a scenario where overworking myself is the only option. I just won't do it. I mean, look at my con report videos and to an extent, the con vlogs where I'm staff. I'm constantly changing and iterating the processes involved with con staff stuff because there's always room for improvement, and I'm doing so in a way that's within my boundaries.
What made you get so into physics? How did you choose your major?
So I always had an interest in contemporary physics since high school, but I didn't realize physics was a valid career path until I discovered PBS spacetime. My family pushed me towards engineering, but engineering just wasn't enough for me. I wanted more math and less memorization.
How did you decide to become a computational physicist?
Minecraft. No, seriously, the redstone in Minecraft got me interested in digital logic circuits and electronics. And also, most of my research during undergrad was in computational condensed matter, so I just stuck with continuing that into grad school.
Any recommendations for those who struggle with choosing a career?
Networking. Just like con staff life. Meet people, learn what's out there, ask questions to those who are in the middle of their careers, stuff like that.
Which is harder to learn in the field of computational physics, the physics itself or the comp sci?
I would say that physics is harder than the computational part, mostly because of one personal example. Learning analytical solutions into statistical mechanics is like the bane of my existence. And when you take those same scenarios and allow computational methods, it makes perfect sense to me. But this might be because my knowledge in physics and math is much deeper than my knowledge in computer science. Because I've only taken a couple of comp sci classes, but dozens of math and physics classes. So my knowledge in physics and math is like on the cutting edge.
What mathematicians/physicists do you think are vastly underappreciated or talked about?
Emmy Noether, who came up with what I'd argue to be the most fundamental theorem in physics. When there's a symmetry, there's a conserved physical quantity. If you were to take everything in the universe and shift it over by a meter, nothing would change. All physics stays the same. That's called translational symmetry, which is where conservation of linear momentum comes from. Alright, hold up. Let me show you an actual experiment. Behold, my balls. This is a Newton's cradle. It's a common demonstration on how linear momentum works. Example, if I was to take this bearing at the end and let go, we can see that momentum is transferred through collisions. Now, if I was to shift this over by a little bit and conduct the same experiment, we pretty much get the same result. The physics is the same. This translational symmetry is where linear momentum conservation comes from. That's just a simple example of a symmetry with its corresponding conserved quantity. Unfortunately, you need a very high level of physics and math knowledge to fully appreciate Noether's theorem, and it's not something that's easy to write down like E = mc squared.
Question: I've recently been tasked with teaching a class on college success. I've only ever taught the class once before, and my biggest concern was in regards to student engagement, interest in the course and in class. What are some hints, tips, tail curls, and recommendations to keep student engagement up in class?
So my answer is coming from my experience with teaching college-level physics in an active learning environment. Ask questions that don't require outside knowledge to answer, and feature class activities that require cooperation and teamwork to complete. Like for example, I would lecture for a little bit, then ask the class a multiple choice question that involved the same info that I just talked about. After the class submitted their answers, I tell the students to just talk with their neighbors about their answers, have them discuss for a minute or two, then have them re-answer the same question. Majority of the time, the class will converge to the right answer for the second time, which is a good thing. Having time in class for open discussion and collaboration is important.
Here is my question. I'm playing a game where I create sequences of numbers. A sequence can be constructed by spelling out the previous number in the sequence, then counting the amount of letters used to spell the previous number, and using that number as the next number in the sequence. For example, 6, SIX, 3 letters, 3, THREE, 5 letters, 5, FOUR, 4 letters, 4. FOUR, 4 letters. Every sequence will end with a continuous loop of 4s. You do not have to prove this, you can take it for granted. What is the length of the longest possible sequence starting with a number that is less than 1 million? Give an example of a sequence that is that length. Do not count punctuation, spaces, or the word and.
Is this the Collatz conjecture? I feel like this has the same energy as the Collatz conjecture.
If you had to go to grad school in a different non-STEM field, what field would you have chosen?
This is going to be a boring answer with a very long explanation. I would never go to grad school for a non-STEM field. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with non-STEM fields. They're very important subjects. But I would only do a PhD in physics and nothing else. Not even math, engineering, or chemistry, which are closely related. The whole purpose of a PhD is that you're demonstrating to your academic community that you're capable of conducting independent research that provides new and novel information to that field. A PhD is not like a bachelor's or a master's degree where you just get the degree and move on to the next thing. A PhD is the start of your research career, which isn't something that you just pivot away from. So no, I wouldn't even consider grad school as an option if I had to choose something other than physics. Especially now knowing that grad school is not meant for normal people. I will eventually make a video where I talk about my grad school experience in its full gory detail. One day eventually when I have less things on my plate, cause I know it's something that will help future grad students.
What's your least favorite music genre and why?
Country music. Musically, it's just uninteresting compared to what I normally listen to. And then there's bro country, which, let's not get into that.
What's your favorite movie and TV show to watch?
Hi-ya! Favorite film? Tenet. Favorite anime? Avatar, Legend of Korra.
What's your favorite football team?
So you want to learn the entire history of UConn football since the early 2000s?
What's your biggest fear?
No fear.
No subject. Hi.
One fear.
When did you realize your agender and grace sexual?
I knew I was ace once I learned that sexual attraction and romantic attraction are two separate things, and that was a couple years before lockdown. During lockdown was when I accepted the idea of being non-binary.
What's your favorite hockey team?
So you want to learn the entire history of UConn ice hockey since the 2000s?
How long have you been in computing science for, and what's the hardest part about computing science?
I've been writing code on a regular basis since 2016. Hardest part is learning when to be satisfied with my code and not adding any new changes.
When did you get into digital art?
I think I got my first tablet in 2014. Everything before that was just traditional art.
What sports have you played that is not soccer, basketball, or football?
Hockey, snowboard, and paintball.
Is there anything you have knowledge that you maybe haven't shared of on the interwebs?
I mean, yeah. There's a lot of knowledge that I have that I haven't shared as videos. But I only have a finite amount of time to dedicate towards making informational videos. But I can always try my best.
What is one moment in your life that you will forever treasure? Furry or non-furry?
It's hard to just pick one singular moment, especially since I've had way too many adventures. With that said, something I've been hinting at this entire video, I'm actually a professional mascot. Surprising, I know, crazy, right? Yeah, I've been working as a mascot for over 10 years now. Or at least I was. I decided to actually retire from mascotting this year, mostly because I want to focus on my physics career. That's what I went to school for. I've made a lot of great memories being a mascot, and it's nice that I finally get to talk about it now, because, very secretive about that stuff, usually. So, if I gotta pick one moment, and only one moment that I'll treasure forever, it's gotta be the moment that I got that email confirmation saying that I made it past tryouts to be a mascot. I didn't think I was gonna make it on the team when I first tried out, but I ended up doing it, and it opened up this huge career path for me. It's been fun. Anyway, that's all the answers I have for today. Thank you to those who submitted questions, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see ya in the next video. I like playing with my balls.